Switzerland! The U.S. go up! What a goal from Carlos Bocanegra! Lloyd will try a long hit. What a goal from Lloyd! This is spectacular. It's hit with no regard for humanity. Is this the moment for Shaqiri? Yes, it is! Switzerland and Shaqiri have scored in the 90th minute. That was worth the price of admission alone.
This is Soccer Matters
on ESPN 97.5 and 97.9 HD2.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm, DaspitLaw.com. From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, let's go tonight. Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5 is on the air. Excited to talk soccer with you. All right, so pick up that phone tonight, 713-780-3776. We're streaming at ESPN975.com. Call-in number again, 713-780-3776. Let's get your thoughts on things. I'm going to drop a question right off the top here to everybody to consider. Are you feeling the World Cup vibe? Whether it's here in Houston, whether it's other markets around the country, are we feeling that vibe, or do we have to get closer and closer to it? We just had a U.S. men's national team jersey drop. You can tell me if you like that or not. We got a roster drop. We're going to go over the roster. I got some updates on Mexico as well and some of the real injury issues that the El Tri are having now. We got the World Cup in studio, if you're on YouTube. YouTube Soccer Matters. And also TikTok over there. We have a lot of things going on. We dropped another video around Houston and the reasons why it's going to be the best World Cup city. We got some great music here tonight, too, sponsored by Cactus. All right. U.S. rosters picked. Belgium and Portugal coming up. A lot of players on the fringe of the roster. It's kind of the last chance saloon for them. There's some guys that have performed recently that has put them back in the picture. There's also an injury to Serginho Dest that you'll see in this roster has been sort of looked at by the head coach Mauricio Pochettino. I got Premier League updates, Dynamo pros and cons. Again, the U.S. dropped that jersey, 713-780-3776. Do you like it? Tonight we will have on the show Erik Bergrud. He is with the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. He's also a commentator for the Kansas City Comets. That's the indoor game. That's the major arena soccer league. So Erik is going to join us tonight to give us an update on Kansas City, because Kansas City has 4 base teams, including Argentina, the Netherlands, England, and I believe Algeria is the 4th one. 4 teams are basing in Kansas City. So we'll talk to him about that. I think one of the obvious reasons is it's in the middle of the country from a flying standpoint. So are we, but maybe there's other things to it. So we'll talk with Erik about that. Stephen Goff, one of the top soccer writers in the country. Heck, he's been around as long as I have. He's going into the Hall of Fame, and very deservedly. So I'm really, really happy for Stephen. He's going in winning the Colin Jose Award, which honors the top writer, or, if you're writing on social. So Stephen Goff covered Major League Soccer from the beginning, 40 years at the Washington Post, now at Yahoo. Marcelo Balboa and I are going to go over the roster here tonight. Marcelo's with Apple TV, and, of course, we know him from all his years as a center back for the U.S. and being a part of 3 World Cup. Tomorrow, Destination 2026. I'll remind you, Houston's countdown to the Cup. David Fletcher of Lone Star Sports and Entertainment. Much, much more on that show tomorrow. All right. I want to get into a number of things here tonight, so I'm going to really keep pushing the envelope and the tempo here. Again, I do want to hear from you. 713-780-3776 is the number. All right, let's start it off tonight with a little bit of news, and let's go to soundbite number 1. And Brian McDonald, producer extraordinaire, here tonight. Former Iran coach Afshin Ghotbi.
I think most people at this moment are not thinking about the game. They're thinking about survival. within Iran. And I think people outside of Iran are caring about their loved ones and their friends back in their country. I think they're looking for symbolic events that can change the narrative and change the history of the country. And I think the World Cup can be that. And I think for Donald Trump as the president of the United States, and I think for FIFA, they recognize the power of this particular cup being held in 3 countries and having a chance that maybe this could be the new start of a new Iran. And I think this World Cup can play a part.
So that's a really interesting take. It's a good take. I am going to tell you, I believe Iran will be here. That's just my gut feeling. I remember calling a World Cup. I'm trying to remember what year it was. Maybe it was it 98? No, it wasn't 98. It might have been 98. I don't know. The year Iran beat the U.S. 1-0, and I was driving from the studio at Fox in Los Angeles and near Westwood and UCLA. There's a huge Persian population. They were all on the streets dancing, love soccer. It took me a while to weave my way through there, but that's one of the great memories I have of calling the World Cup. And, of course, I was doing it at a studio. But, you know, to be in that studio and see that game happen and occur, and then to be driving through that in the New York Minute was pretty incredible. So there's a little bit of a flashback on some of the World Cups that I have done. And speaking of that, Thursday night, World Cup FIFA film 2002, Japan, Korea, at the Museum of Fine Arts. That's 5500 Main Street. That's usually we call it the Monday Night Football version, but we got a Thursday night date there. You go to Monday Night Football /2002 Eventbrite.com. It'll be a real fun night down there. Batiri, the artist, will be driving that. I'll be down there as well. So we continue these great films and exposing people and keeping people thinking about the World Cup. Do you feel like there's enough buzz around it? Brian, I would even throw this out to you, and I know I've done that before, but I'm thinking it's going to be a bit of a late jump onto this thing just based on the habits of the human being now.
Yeah, I don't really feel it around town. I mean, I guess my view of this is slightly skewed since, you know, obviously I'm on a soccer show twice a week. That obviously I'm hearing a lot of talk about the World Cup more than the average person would, but I don't feel it when I'm, you know, not here really around town. The only place I really get the reminders when I drive down 59, and part of those land bridges have the soccer ball paintings. Yeah. So like I seeing that, I'm like, oh yeah, World Cup's coming here pretty soon. But other than that, I don't really see it or feel it around town.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's self-driven, to be honest with you. I think it's organic from the soccer community. The people that are in the know are the 2.5 to 3 million soccer fans here. But I do agree with you. So I want to segue, and you stay with me because, you know, you're a big baseball fan, and I told you that I had the unique opportunity to go to 3 World Baseball Classic games at Dakin, and I was in the 17th row behind the dugout. I got to tell you, the atmosphere was unbelievable. USA-Mexico. USA-Canada, not as much, but still really fun, interesting game. And then I went to the Puerto Rico-Italy game. Huge Puerto Rican turnout. I mean, obviously tonight in the final, the U.S. Is going to play Venezuela. It's going to be packed in Miami. It'll be a pro-Venezuelan crowd, which does remind us historically with the U.S. in the early years of the national team, and even now, playing in front of crowds in our home country that are pro either Dominican Republic, Mexico, or something, to show you the amount of fans from around the world. But I think this is great for MLB.
Yeah, I agree, and that was the case. You mentioned like it'll probably be a pro-Venezuelan crowd tonight. It was the case against the Dominican Republic 2 days ago. That was a pro-Dominican crowd, and as you attested to previously, like it was a pro-Mexican crowd, or at least 60-40.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, like 60-40. So like they've kind of, even while playing in Houston and then now in Miami, they've still feel like they're kind of playing road games. I don't know what the growth is for Major League Baseball overall, just because I feel like it's already, with Japan, with Latin America, already pretty well off globally. Maybe this run by Italy helps it in Europe, where it's not as big, but it certainly provided, regardless of the expansion and growth for Major League Baseball, it's exciting for the baseball fans to see this level of play and competition at a time of year where most of the time it's spring training and people are just kind of playing 3 innings and then taking the day off. So it's a nice little added boost to the calendar.
Yeah, I think it's a great byproduct. If anybody went to any of those World Baseball Classic games, you want to comment, 713-780-3776. I mean, look, short tournament, short engagement. That'll bring in somebody like
2
me
weeks.
That's not going to watch every single Astros game, right? But I went down there 3 times in 6 days. I had the time of my life. And one of the days I was sitting at home and I'm like, nah, I'm going to that U.S.-Canada game. And I went online and got a ticket like 2 hours before and just got in the car and drove down there. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's a smart thing for Major League Baseball because you always want to grab a bit of the spotlight. And I think with this, they really have.
Yeah, certainly with, I think, what's interesting is I think you see how much it means to like the non-Americans in this, like every single hit and like strikeout, especially watching that game against the Dominican the other night, like they're treating their reactions like it's the World Series. So I think that's the underrated, maybe the opportunity for growth is just the excitement that maybe fans from those nations don't have for regular season Major League Baseball games. They're now being introduced to it in a way that maybe because they're soccer fans and they like the World Cup type, the world competition type of feel to it, maybe this will appeal to them more and bring them into the game on a more regular basis.
You mentioned World Series. World Baseball Classic's bigger. Even Aaron Judge says that. This is soundtrack number 5. Listen to Aaron Judge. This is pretty compelling.
Oh, I say it's bigger. World Series always ends. The crowd here, the crowd we had when we played against Mexico, it's bigger and better than the World Series. It's just, like I said, the passion that these fans have representing their country, representing some of their favorite players, there's nothing like it. And that's what you dream of as a kid. When I was in my backyard playing wiffle ball, this is the moments you dream of, big spots, big situations, and it gives me chills right now thinking about how special that was. I try to take a moment every game to kind of look around, appreciate the crowd, appreciate the moment.
That was Aaron Judge, who also mentioned that he was having his wife video him in the hotel room, his batting stance. He was putting his jersey out. I didn't think these guys carried their jerseys to the games, but
yeah, I thought that would have put in their locker for them.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
He was genuinely really enjoying this. Now the other thing is the U.S. fan can learn something from the international fan if they want to. You don't have to always sit on your hands. You can wave the country's flag or your team's flag. It's very, very different than one of the regular season games. And I think as players, you can't have that energy like that.
162 times?
No. You can't be on the railing. You can't be pounding it every time you get a single. I was at the Mexico game. There'd be contact, and it would be a pop-up, and people were going nuts thinking it was, leaving the stadium. But, these aren't just, you did say something like these are soccer fans that turn Mexico, these countries love baseball. They love baseball. Curacao loves baseball. Mexico, Venezuela love baseball. Who did I miss? Dominican Republic's crazy about baseball. Cuba's crazy about baseball. So it is a pretty international feel. I saw a picture. They panned on Altuve.
Rooting for Venezuela.
I'm looking at Altuve and I'm going, this guy's going, I wish I was here on this
He wanted
team.
to. He just, some guys couldn't get the insurance to play.
I felt so sorry for him.
Because you remember what happened last time he played?
I know.
He got hit on the hand and missed the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, I'm not buying that theory. I would have let the guy play for his country. He wanted to. You can get hurt anywhere. You can get hurt walking down the street. I don't know. I know I have a lot of friends who debate that with me too. They're like, "Oh no, he can't play. He could get injured." Well, I don't know. I think that's a prideful moment for him. I think he hurt not being there. Honestly, merchandise was crazy. I mean, anybody who's complaining about the price of eggs or gas, just don't buy those $185 baseball jerseys. Mexico's merchandise, I think they claim might have sold out. And, man, everybody was wearing jerseys. Puerto Rico, too. A lot of Roberto Clemente, which I think is cool. A lot of Roberto Clemente. But the energy in the building, I mean, I think the players are digging it, too. I mean, it's just something different. It's cool. It's very cool. And it's going to be over in the blink of an eye tonight, and we'll have a champion, either the U.S. or Venezuela. All right. 3 games in 6 days, baseball for me. That was fun. I mean, I really enjoyed that because my life's pretty soccer-dominated, which I don't mind either. And we got a World Cup coming. Let's talk Manchester United. How about that? United get a big win on the weekend. Little Premier League. Let's take a look at Manchester United. This goal from Casemiro.
Bruno Fernandes. And that was Casemiro. It's happened again. 7 goals for the veteran Brazilian in the Premier League. 6 of them from set pieces. Bruno Fernandes, the architect yet again. And in so doing, Bruno Fernandes equals Manchester United's club record in the Premier League era, held by David Beckham, of 15 assists in a season.
John Champion on the call. It was NBC, Casemiro, Cunha, and Sesko. Okay, so Cunha and Sesko are starting to turn it on. They were big off-season signings. Cunha is interesting because Vinny Jr., Brazil's got a boatload of strikers for the World Cup, but he provides something a little bit different. He provides some power and strength for Carlo Ancelotti. By the way, Ancelotti did not put Neymar on this most recent roster. That was United 3-1 over Villa. That was a huge win because Villa and United were even going into that game. So United now have sole control of third place at 54 points. Big for them. How about a 16-year-old scoring a goal? Youngest ever in the Premier League. It's Max Dauman of Arsenal.
In by James Garner. Away by Gyökeres. Martinelli again. And Dauman can run clear. And Dauman has Martinelli with him. Dauman's going to go alone.
He's going to do it.
Dauman to wrap things up for Arsenal. Max steps in forward. Arsenal's 16-year-old wonder kid writes the first chapter of what will be a very long and very special story.
Well, it's a big story right now, that's for sure. Arsenal 2-0 over Everton, and they look in real control at 70 points. They have a 9-point lead over Man City. Man City today got eliminated in the Champions League. Then you've got United at 54, Aston Villa at 51. For Manchester United, this is about grabbing that Champions League money. Those top 4 places are worth so much money. Liverpool sits on 49 in an up-and-down year. There's calls for the head of Arne Slot, their head coach. 49 points for Liverpool, so they're just 2 points behind Villa, who's in a bit of a free fall. Chelsea at 48, Brentford at 44, West Ham United in the relegation zone. By the way, that 16-year-old scoring a goal, remember we had a Wayne Rooney when he was 16 at Everton scoring in a win over Arsenal, so pretty interesting. So Max Dauman is 16 years old, 73 days. 16 years, 73 days. It's called the Best Academy product. Global attention. 7th appearance Sunday. He can't accept a professional deal till he's 17. And everybody's saying, let's put the brakes on a bit, let him grow without this crazy expectation. We all know that can't happen. I know you want it to happen. It's not going to happen. In this day and age, you just can't. I mean, even the Dynamo, when they put a 15-year-old on the field, and we don't get the coverage down here, people are interested in seeing what a 15-year-old has to say, but I would be very careful in protecting them at that age. But that's what fans do. They go over the top. They go way over the top. I got some Dynamo Portland thoughts. I got some Mexico updates. We got U.S. roster talk. And we got more and more to go here tonight. By the way, as we go to break now, we did a special If you go down to Slip Sliders 1802 Bins in the Museum District, near Herman Park, near the zoo, this is a must-stop, Slip Sliders. If you go down there and you mention Soccer Matters, you wear a jersey, either one, you mention Glenn Davis, or you mention the sport of soccer, you'll get 15% off your bill. Apparently, a ton of people were going in this weekend. That deal has now been extended all week. I think it'll remain all Saturdays, but right now that deal is going on every day. Slip Sliders, mention Soccer Matters, the show, mention Glenn Davis, soccer, World Cup, wear a jersey, any of those things, you'll get 15% off your bill. And believe me, you will not regret having these best made-to-order sliders. They are exceptional, and you will love them. By the way, there's no better time to team up with Soccer Matters than right now. If you're a business that wants to get attached to soccer, the time is now. The World Cup is right around the corner. This is a spike you can get for your business. So contact me on social media, Soccer Matters, if you want to pair up and partner up. It's a good time to do it because the World Cup is right around the corner and well over 500,000 people will be coming to Houston. All right, when we come back, a couple of rule changes we're going to go over. Again, we'll take your phone call, 713-780-3776. We'll take a Lamont Brands break.
You're listening to ESPN 97.5.
We're taking a break.
Okay. That's cool.
Listening to Soccer Matters
on ESPN 97.5 and 97.9 HD2.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, DaspitLaw.com, 713-CALL now. John and his firm, personal injury attorneys. The Daspit Law Firm is going to work for you 24/7 nights and weekends. Get in a car, boat, motorcycle accident, going to want the Daspit Law Firm. They're going to work for you 24/7, and they are going to get you the compensation you deserve. Nobody wants to get in an accident. I mean, we've all been in them. But if you do, you need the best, and that is the Daspit Law Firm. Also want to remind you about Nico's Greek and American Cafe. The great three locations are the Woodlands, Beltway, and I-10, and then, of course, the original down in Montrose, chicken soups, souvlaki, gyros. Dimitri's coming out with a lot of different dishes these days, too. So I've seen it on social media. And, of course, the lamb shank is a beauty. I don't know how this couldn't touch your heart. And we just heard from Afshin Ghotbi, the former Iranian coach. But to see those women not sing the national anthem, that was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen because there's consequence to that in that country. And now we're seeing that some of these women's players are now going back to Iran because they initially might have wanted to stay, but they're concerned about the treatment, the possibility of their families getting tortured and or anything else, which you know what I mean. Can you imagine being in that position? Can you imagine that? It's unbelievably, what they did was pretty powerful. And it is kind of a shame that there's a lot of people very silent on this who fight for certain things, but not that. I don't know what's more intense than that when it comes to the rights of women. All right. We talked about the youngest EPL goal scorer. We already talked about that. Maybe we'll switch gears this segment. We'll go to the Dynamo. The Dynamo got an exciting win 3-2 over Portland. This started out with Guerra scoring. Gage Guerra, by the way, who is from Houston. He was a Dynamo Academy product, went to the Portland Timbers. I guess he didn't get signed here. He was in the academy for 2 or 3 years, so he was at another club probably before that in Houston. I'm not sure, maybe the Houstonians. He went to Army, he went to Louisville. He only appeared 6 times last year, so he scores in the 45th minute. What a homecoming for him, his first ever professional goal. Save penalty, Jonathan Bond, he stuffed in the rebound. Dynamo first 45 minutes, and Dynamo fans out there who are the intelligentsia, I want to hear your thoughts. 713-780-3776 on this game. So 1-0 at halftime. Dynamo don't have a shot on goal. I don't know why they're so slow starting in the first 45 minutes. It's like we're going to be really cautious. We're going to be tame. I want to see this team attack from the start. It's your home field. The weather's great. Too conservative. Don't make it a 45-minute game for a road team. Get after an opponent from the start here. And you got the players now to do it. Okay? I could see it in the past. You got guys now that have pace, that have the ability to beat people one-on-one, that want to get to goal like Guilherme, the new Brazilian, like Bogusz, who got the game winner. You got an alley coming from deep. You got more players now that can win you a game, much like you won this game, and I'll get to that in a minute. So 1-0 at halftime. Dynamo come out a better team in the second half, very similar to the opening game of the year. Guilherme gets a header in the 62nd, snaps it in, great goal. Andrade in the 77th from outside the 18, 2-1 Dynamo. Velde ties it up in the 80th. 90+4, Marconic, who came on, gets sent off. And the Dynamo play 10 or so minutes, a man down. And they get a game winner after a long ball knocked forward by Jack McGlynn that I think it was Brandon By, the defender, got all tangled up, didn't judge it right. And Bogusz wins it and gets the goal. Now, I'm going to say simply, if that was Ezekiel Ponce, he's not going to get the goal at that point. I love having the highest player on the field for your team, a guy that has pace and a desire to get to goal. I think that's so important. I think it's important on corners. I think it's important they occupy defenders, make people drop back. It's important. And it won you the game. Now, if it wasn't Bogusz or Guilherme and it was someone else that doesn't have the pace, you don't win that game. There's obvious lessons from this that we learn. The roster is better for the Houston Dynamo. The wingback position is still to some degree question marks. We'll see how Holmes and Lawrence Anali do there. Certainly Anali has the lungs to get up and down. I don't think that's where either of those guys want to play, but I think they don't have a choice right now. After the move of Griffin Dorsey, I would have loved to have seen this team with Dorsey. How about a guy out of contract in Colorado? Sam Vines. He's available. He's an outside back. Would you want him to come to Houston? Have you seen him play? 713-780-3776. So you look at the Ezekiel Ponce position. He is a designated player. He is and has played with his back to goal for the Houston Dynamo so much, coming back to the ball. Now, to be fair to him, he hasn't had the support that he may potentially have now, but he should score, to get your money's worth out of him as a DP, he needs 15 goals. Enough with the pressing and how hard he works defensively. I don't want to see him, when the other team has the ball, back behind the ball, 25 yards out from your own 18-yard box defending. Stay up the field. Stay at the halfway line. Occupy people. Be an outlet. I don't get that whole thing. I don't get bringing everybody back on corners either. I don't get that. That's too conservative to me in this day and age. And by the way, the other thing about coming out rip-roaring in the first half, you're at home. It's your fans. The weather's cool. There's nothing to wait for. It's not 90 degrees now. we talk about trying to bring more fans to games. Well, that's one way the competitive side of the club could potentially do that. 713-780-3776. But now you have a chance to win games with pace like that up front. Maybe games you don't deserve to win. The Dynamo were lucky not to concede a third before that happened. And by the way, 1 out of, I think, every 5 goals is scored off corners, so that's a big one. Ben Olsen was really emotional in the first half. He got a yellow. It calmed him down. He wasn't prowling his box like usual. And I think that's a good thing. I think sometimes the antics from coaches in their coaching box and the constant lobbying and emotion, and I think it gets old. And I think it can be a distraction sometimes for players. Maybe not. But it becomes a little bit too much. So they started with Andrade, Halter, Sviatchenko, Bond, Anali, Samasek, Kedu, McGlynn, Holmes. So let's talk about Jack McGlynn. He didn't get picked for the U.S. roster. 2 big games, Belgium and Portugal. To not be on that roster, you got to be nervous about making the team. Pochettino did mention that the door is not closed yet if you didn't get put on this roster. And I think we have this sound, Brian. I think it's Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia area asking the question.
And now it's the last roster before the World Cup team is picked at the end of May. What do those players have to do to convince you and make it?
Well, I think that decision in this roster, what I can tell you that everyone is saying that maybe it's the last opportunity, but it's not close. It's open. It's still open. It's not the final roster.
Oh, there you go. It's pretty simple. It's not the final roster. But again, I think if you're not on this roster, you're squirming. And man, I feel for these guys. Like, you're getting to this point and you're going to go to the world's greatest sporting event, rarefied air. And boy, to get or be the guy on the fringe that doesn't go, it's tough. And we'll talk more about that, I think, in the next segment tonight. But I'm just thinking of these guys laying in bed at night after games. Maybe you didn't play well, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't get on the field quick enough to get back out there and try to prove myself to everybody. Here's some rule changes that are going to occur in the World Cup. Number 1, subs. You have 10 seconds to leave the field, and the replacement must wait 1 minute to enter. So that's all to get people off the field quicker. I mean, to me, that means you're probably going to have to run off the field. So you're in the middle of the field. You're going to have to jog over to the bench pretty quick, 10 seconds. And then the replacement has to wait a minute to enter. Throw-ins and goal kicks. Here's another one. 5-second countdown. And if it's not in play, possession will go to the opponent. If you don't get it in play in 5 seconds, possession goes to the opponent. Number 3, players that get on the field, treatment for injury, must leave the field and then wait a minute after play restarts to come back on. So a lot of this is to prevent people from time wasting, to prevent people from going down late in the game, to stop the game. If a team's got momentum and pressure on, it's an old trick. Look, I did it back in whenever it was. Just you go down hurt, you're under pressure, you try to slow the game down. And then VAR will be allowed to review second yellow cards and corner decisions if there's a clear mistake made. So you got a lot of really interesting new rules here to kind of speed the game up. And I will say this about the World Baseball Classic, and I think baseball in general, and Brian, you might weigh in on this, but man, they keep the games moving. They really, these rule changes for baseball.
Yeah, the pitch clock.
Everything. It just keeps, I mean, there's not a long extended warm-up for the pitchers coming in. I mean,
they time out the breaks in between the half innings, I think, 2 minutes. And then the big thing was the pitch clock, which, before pitchers could take as long as they wanted to in between pitches. Now they have, I think it's 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So it definitely speeds the game up.
It makes it a lot more appealing, I'll tell you. And World Baseball Classic, you got people dancing, you got the fun thing on the scoreboard. Next thing you know, the guy's throwing a pitch, and we're on, And I think it cuts down time, too. I don't think people want to be down there for 3 hours plus. So, good stuff. We got some controversy with the African Cup of Nations, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in the next segment. Can't get out of their way with confederation problems. All right, this is Asia. Lone Star Sports and Entertainment, lsse.net, if you want to get the exceptional packages over there, elite seating, next level food. If you want all the bells and whistles for the World Cup, it's Lone Star Sports and Entertainment, lsse.net. Get over there and get that A++ high-end experience for the World Cup, and that includes exceptional seats as well. Asia was a super group. Cactus Music brings you heat of the moment.
And we would scream together songs unsung. It was the heat of the moment, telling me what our heart meant. The heat of the moment showed in your eyes.
ESPN 97.5. Listening to Soccer Matters
on ESPN 97.5 and 97.9 HD2.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
Oh, little Bob Marley. Bob loved soccer. There's T-shirts in stores with Bob playing soccer on them. Bob Marley loved soccer. So I welcome you back here. A couple of things. Senate Avenue Brewing, 16,000 Dillard. That's where we do our live shows every second Tuesday of the month. Great food up there, fresh, great food, great patio environment. This is a spectacular craft beer place. The mayor, Andrew Mitchum, is up there. It's Senate Avenue Brewing. They've always got differing types of beers for all of you that are really experts on it. They don't sell it anywhere, but right there, you got to get it there. It's Senate Avenue Brewing, 16,000 Dillard in Jersey Village. I like the atmosphere because it's something for everybody, and I know Brian McDonald's been there, but you got an outdoor patio, families, kids. You got people coming in there kind of for meetings or after work. You got a great night of soccer up there. They do trivia. You name it, they do it. Senate Avenue Brewing. Again, our presenting sponsor. We have to always make sure we pound how important they are to getting this show on the air. That's John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm, daspitlaw.com, 713. Call now. And then for the extended package for the World Cup, if you want to go grade A, you want to go great seats, elevated food experience, it is lsse.net, lsse.net. Those packages, from what I am told, are pretty limited, but we got 7 games here in Houston. You want to do it the best way, you get the package, lsse.net. And, of course, we got 3 European teams here. There'll be more than 3, but we got some big ones. Germany, Netherlands, 4-time World Cup winners, Germany. Netherlands, 3 times to the World Cup final, haven't won it. Is this their World Cup? So get ready for that. Other thing is, I remind you, if you're a business, you want to get tagged in and get on top of being a part and being connected to soccer and the World Cup. So if you're looking for potential partnership opportunity or sponsorship, contact me with Soccer Matters, and you can do that by DMing me or finding me on social media. Okay. Morocco was stunningly awarded the African Cup of Nations title on Tuesday by appeals judges who overturned Senegal's victory. Now, remember that chaotic final? Senegal went off the field. The Confederation of African Football, here we go again, said its appeal board ruled Senegal was declared to have forfeited the final, and its 1-0 win in extra time becomes a 3-0 default win for host nation Morocco. You can't make this up. In the January 18th final, I'm just laughing because these confederations, okay, here's the reasoning. In the January 18th final, it was in Rabat. Morocco was the host country, who, by the way, went to the semifinals of the last World Cup in Qatar. Senegal players led by coach Pape Thiaw left the field in protest during stoppage time for 15 minutes. Fans tried to storm the field when Morocco was awarded a penalty that was set to decide the game. Play resumes, and then Brahim Diaz, who plays for Real Madrid, if you remember this, tries a Panenka, which is a slow kind of little chip, hoping the goalkeeper dives. It gets saved by Edouard Mendy. And then Senegal scores the only goal in extra time. So, there you go. It's reversed. Now they're giving it to Morocco. So, what can I say? It's pretty crazy. Big reversal today in the Champions League. Sporting of Portugal reversed a 3-0 aggregate scoreline at home. They win 5-3 over Bodo Glimt from Norway. Arsenal over Bayer Leverkusen 2-0, aggregate 3-1. They go on. And then Real Madrid 2-1 over Man City, 5-1 on aggregate. PSG smokes Chelsea 3-0. So I think it's pretty clear where the winner of the Champions League is going to come from. All right, let's talk U.S. men's national team roster. Pochettino has picked his roster for very, very important games against both Belgium and Portugal coming up. So let's go to the goalkeeping position. I think it's pretty clear what's going on there. It's either, I guess, the incumbent right now or the man in the pole position right now has got to be Matt Freese. And then after Matt Freese, it's Matt Turner. Now, the one thing is Matt Freese has been playing consistently for the U.S. men's national team, but it is Matt Turner who has actually played in a World Cup, the last World Cup. And then you got two other goalkeepers there that would be in contention for being the third, and that's Roman Celentano. He would be one of them. And then the other one is, I think, the Chicago Fire goalkeeper. That would be Chris Brady, who is uncapped. Neither of those guys are capped. Defenders, Max Starfston, Alex Freeman, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards. Richards is the incumbent at the back. You could go with a very athletic back line if you went with the Chris Richards, Mark McKenzie, Miles Robinson, Alex Freeman type of thing. Now, Alex Freeman is going to become more important. He's going to make the team because Sergiño Dest has gotten hurt. This is a big problem. He's going to be in a race for time to get back for the national team, how fit he can be, what he can contribute. But that's one to really keep an eye on because he's the kind of guy, his ability on the ball, he can get out of pressure in a really good way. And the U.S. is going to miss him. So that block, the three center backs and then the two holding midfielders in front, that's likely going to be Tyler Adams, again coming off injury, and either a Tanner Tessman or a Johnny Cardoso. I don't know what they're going to do with Weston McKinney, if they're going to play him higher, or a Christian Roldan. But McKinney's been on fire for Juventus. Roldan has been excellent. So immediately with the Serginho Dest injury, a guy that many people had written off, who starts for Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga, Joe Scally, is back in camp. Okay? So Joe Scally back in. So that's an indication, obviously, that Mauricio Pochettino, he's on top of everything. The midfield. Gio Reyna comes back. He's played 29 minutes. I don't know what you think about the roster, 713-780-3776. But Gio Reyna is back, and our local Dynamo player not there. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's players that are on the bubble here, I don't think there's any question, that have played a little bit better as of late, that have brought themselves back into it. Chris in Humble wants to talk about the U.S. jersey real quick. Chris.
Hey, Glenn. How you doing, man?
Good. How do you like the jersey?
Hey, great shoe. Hey, man, they are smooth. They're probably the two combination jerseys are actually probably two of the best combinations we've had in a while, because we've either had one really awesome one and one kind of iffy one. But both of them look pretty smooth. But I actually just thought of a question for you, sir. How, based off of what the men's and women's U.S. hockey team has done and what the U.S. men's baseball team has done as of recently, especially against Canada and against all these dominating teams, how far would U.S. soccer have to get in this thing to actually to get the rest of the country really excited to like how the rest of the country is getting excited about U.S. hockey and about other sports, really getting us, getting our youth, our great athletes that we have that are, doing football, basketball, baseball, but really getting into soccer and actually making U.S. soccer that much better.
Well, look,
how far would they have to go?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think every game is an opportunity to gather momentum from the U.S. as a host nation and get everybody behind it pridefully. Those other teams that have been so successful, they've been very prideful for all of us as citizens of the United States and Americans. We love sports. You'll get casuals behind the team if the U.S. goes on. I think as a host nation, with the core of this group being players that play in Europe now like never before, you got to do semifinals minimum for me. That's just me. But Pochettino has said, look, we're here to win the World Cup. Amazing things can happen when you get momentum behind you, Chris. And look, either way, sport's going to continue to ascend in this country. But the U.S., this is an opportunity you're not going to get again for a long, long time. And you got to take advantage of it. Chris, thank you very much. All right, that's going to do it. By the way, the goal-scoring position is doing quite well right now. Got guys scoring goals. Baller and Balogun scoring. Pepe's going to make that move to Fulham ultimately. Christian Pulisic has not scored in 11 games now, but started the season well. Although he did play very well this weekend. But we're going to need him to make contributions from a goal-scoring perspective. All right. We got some really, really good interviews coming up. We'll continue the U.S. roster talk with Marcelo Balboa. I do want to remind you again about the great Cactus Music, your vinyl down there. Tonight, St. Patrick's. You might want to get over to Hugh O'Connor's Pub or Senate Avenue Brewing to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I mean, how about the bars? They get the double dip, You got the weekend with the St. Patrick's parties, and you got it again tonight. Let's go USA Baseball tonight against Venezuela. All right, we'll take a break. Reminder, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the new drop of our most recent video from the wonderful and the amazing Herman Park. I hope you like this. Likes, comments, reposts, retweets, whatever they call it, we would really appreciate it because Glenn Davis is independent now. How about that? Take a break. Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5, presented by the legendary Daspit Law Firm, daspitlaw.com, 713. Call now.
ESPN 97.5.
Soccer Matters.
Quick shot, score! The U.S. with Dempsey. For Fabregas, who looks for Iniesta, who's onside. Spain score. Entonces el centro, remate de gol. Gol de oro. Gol de oro. Gol de Oribe. Gol.
This is Soccer Matters
on ESPN 97.5 and the ESPN Houston app.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm, DaspitLaw.com. From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, welcome back to Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5, presented by John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm. Let me just give you a little insight into the great law firm that it is. They have been keeping soccer on the radio for many, many years, and no bigger year than this one, a World Cup year here in the United States. The Daspit Law Firm is going to work for you 24/7 nights and weekends. Nobody wants to get in an accident. Let's say you get in a car, boat, motorcycle, maybe you drive an 18-wheeler, maybe you work construction. If you get in an accident, you don't want that to happen, but if you do, you are going to need the best in personal injury attorneys. That's John Daspit, the Daspit Law Firm, DaspitLaw.com, 713, call now. And we bring in, I would like to say he's a friend, although we haven't seen each other a lot in a long time. He is the outstanding writer. You've known him from a lot of coverage of U.S. soccer, Major League Soccer with the Washington Post. Now at Yahoo, he is Stephen Goff, and Stephen joins us now. Stephen, thanks for coming on tonight.
Glenn, great to join you, man. My friend. I will say my friend.
All right, I made the list. That's good. That's good. I've lost a few lately. I don't know why, but I've lost a few. All right, so you're working with Yahoo right now. I just first want to tee you up for an award that you've won that I want my listeners to know about. There's an award called the Colin Jose Award, and it is awarded to print and electronic writers of soccer. And Stephen has won this award. When you found out about it, I mean, what an honor, huh?
Yeah, it was a nice surprise last week. It was set up on an ordinary work Zoom call, and then the person running it suddenly let all kinds of different people into the Zoom call, and they kind of ambushed me and made the announcement, but in a good ambush. It was a nice honor, and to join a small group that's received this award, including like George Vesey of the New York Times, Graham Jones of the LA Times, the late Grant Wall, who wrote for Sports Illustrated. It was a really nice honor, and looking forward to the induction ceremonies. I'll have the great honor of going in to that ceremony at the same time that Tobin Heath and Heather O'Reilly, Chris Wondolowski are all getting into the Hall of Fame, among others. It's a nice award. Nice thing.
Amazing, deserved honor, and you've done it. Over the years, now that we've gotten into the electronic age and the internet, how has it changed for you through your lens, if at all?
Yeah, it's changed massively. I think, obviously you're writing for an audience in that moment. It's not the next day, not even a few hours later, but in that moment. And so, you certainly need to understand the audience's desires, what they want to see, what they want to hear, what they want to read. So sometimes it means being a little more analytical. Sometimes it means getting news up there as quickly as possible, writing a story and then writing another story. Getting something fresh up on the website. It's a different world. Economic realities have also hit hard, and so having the backing to travel to matches or training camps or tournaments is a lot different than it used to be. And so soccer has reached the point where it is important, and you do need to be at places, especially the national team. MLS is a little different because it's a day-to-day, week-to-week league. It's 24/7. If you're in the media and you're in soccer media, you can never catch your breath. You're always checking to see what news is out there, what you need to pursue that moment, that day, the next day. It's a lot.
Stephen Goff, Yahoo Sports. With the advent of AI now, we've seen some people lose jobs. There's a lot of crazy things happening with that. Does that concern you, being someone who's generated your own ideas, your own writing craft, your own writing style?
Yeah, for sure. You look at the results of some of these AI quote unquote reporting sites or devices, and you just see a lot of errors, and there's nothing that technology can only do so much. The human brain, the human eye is a lot better, I think, in describing events or telling a story. Certainly in the creative field, that's just something AI cannot duplicate. I get it. I mean, there's, like we were talking about a moment ago, there's economic realities. And so, if AI is able to save a company a few salaries, I can see why they're going in that direction. But this isn't just crunching numbers. This is putting words together and making it sing and trying to be as accurate as possible. And I don't think AI is close to getting that done. Certainly the trend is machines over humans, which is troubling. But here we are.
So if MLS, let's just take MLS, for instance, if readership was up and viewership was up, do you think we'd still have regional television and maybe not have to have some of these sort of quote unquote economic reality decisions based on us losing good writers and commentators and local coverage?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the level of interest. If you're talking about MLS, there are markets in MLS that are popular enough that demand, a beat writer. There are other markets in this league that just aren't there and do not get the numbers. Like, I was at the Washington Post for a long time. I covered MLS since year one. It did okay, but I at any moment, the Washington Post could have said, look, it's just not that popular. It doesn't have the audience that we need to continue to spend the type of money we do on road trips. Yeah. So let's cut back. They never really did that. So I was lucky. I was fortunate. But in other markets where money is really tight, you see it happening. And, there are very few MLS teams that have home and away coverage with in-person reporters anymore.
Yeah, they're watching the game at home, right? So
watching the game at home, and technology makes it possible, to cover a game off TV and then get on a Zoom to do some interviews. It's not exactly the same, but you can certainly get away with it.
Stephen, when you had the lean years in D.C., like we did here, and I mean, there were a lot of long lean years that was tough.
There still are.
Yeah. You're not out of it yet. And we've had that for 13 years down here. Every once in a while there's the playoffs, but from a relevancy standpoint is what I'm saying. Not relevant. How tough was it for you to write about DC United during those time periods?
I think the great thing about sports and sports writing is that whether a team is good or bad or just plain middle of the road boring, there's always good stories to tell. I mean, not necessarily in the games, but with, every human being has a story to tell. Every athlete has a story to tell, some better than others. And so, I like doing the human interest pieces, and whether a team is doing well or doing poorly, you could still tell those stories. So that would be my focus when things weren't going as well on the field. Certainly there's news to report, when a team's not doing well and the scrutiny increases. But like I said, there's, sports writing very much so is storytelling, and you can do that under any circumstances.
He's Stephen Goff. He is the Colin Jose Award winner. Huge award. And again, a big congratulations to Stephen on that. All right, last one before I let you go. World Cup is coming. How do you feel the buzz is around the country? How do you feel the buzz is in D.C. with you?
Well, there's not much buzz in D.C. in terms of local games because there aren't any. Washington did not make the cut, and because the stadium's not up to standards, and so FIFA went elsewhere. There's some buzz around the country, but I think society has changed, and there's not a big build up to events like there used to be. I mean, everything needs to be in the moment. So, in the moment, everyone's paying attention. A lot of people are paying attention to the NCAA tournament about to start, right? I like a good comparison to World Cup maybe is the Winter Olympics, which just occurred. No one was paying any attention to the Winter Olympics until 2 days before it started, And I think the World Cup will have more interest because it's a bigger event than the Winter Olympics, and it's taking place on home soil. But I don't think you're going to see this, this groundswell growing and growing over the weeks leading up to the World Cup. I think once it starts, it's going to be massive. It's going to be huge in this country. But, the days of the 30-day countdown to some big event taking place, I just don't think that exists anymore in anything we do, whether it's culture or sports or news. Everything is in the moment. I don't think it's going to be the same as it used to be in that terms.
Well, in the moment, you are the Colin Jose Award winner, and there's nobody more deserving of it than you. You're on the Mount Rushmore of writers, in my opinion, when it comes to soccer. Stephen, I had to throw in a good cliche. Thank you for that conversation. I mean, I think you touched on some great points. And again, congratulations to you, and let's get you on again before the World Cup starts and get a little breakdown on the U.S., and she'll be covering them. Is this your 9th or 10th World Cup?
9th Men's World Cup.
9th Men's World Cup for Stephen Goff, 6 women's. He's at Yahoo. Where can they find you, Stephen?
It's Yahoo Sports website on the soccer page. Lots of good stuff on there, domestically and internationally.
I would say he would also, Stephen Goff, make my all 11 most humble guys who are writers. No question about it. He's like a Harry Kane in world soccer. He just gets it done. Stephen, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, man. Glad anytime.
All right. He's Stephen Goff. What a great guy. Reminder, LamontBrands.com, T-shirts, hats, LamontBrands.com. Also, all the music tonight. I'm always thinking about Cactus Music. That's where you get the best in vinyl CDs. Cactus Music. We're going to flood that place during the World Cup with Dutch soccer fans going in there looking for the Golden Earring album, and German fans looking for some good polka music. Right? We'll get some of that good polka music for the German fans. Again, it's Cactus Music. And we are going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Marcelo Balboa next to talk about the U.S. men's national team.
Houston's only FM sports station, ESPN 97.5. Listening to Soccer Matters
on ESPN 97.5 and 97.9 HD2.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, welcome back to Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5. Shout out I-10, the Marquee Entertainment Center. It is just on your right-hand side if you're heading west out to Katy. It is Hugh O'Connor's Pub, home of the Liverpool Supporters Group. It's going to be a great place to watch the World Cup this summer. It is Hugh O'Connor's Pub in the Marquee Entertainment Center. great beer, whiskey offerings, and a great place to watch games. Also, Senate Avenue Brewing. We're out there every second Tuesday of the month. 16,000 Dillard in Jersey Village. Senate Avenue Brewing for live Soccer Matters shows. We're getting a lot of people out there lately. We had a lot of ex-pros out there the last time. Fun giveaways, great crowd. You wear a jersey out there on the second Tuesday of the month, and you get your first craft beer free. That's Senate Avenue Brewing. All right, with that, we give the big drum roll. He's one of the favorite guests on this show. He is the former U.S. men's national team center back, legendary player in that position over the careers, multiple World Cups. He's Marcelo Balboa. He joins us now. Marcelo, what's happening?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. You are, and I'm looking forward to talking to you. And by the way, Marcelo on Apple TV as well. So let's just get 3 games into MLS this year, just some general impressions about the league, where it's at, and how you feel it is in 2026.
Listen, I think every year it gets better little by little. Competitiveness is getting there. I think you see teams that have spent the money. You see teams that haven't spent the money. You see teams that are playing well. You see teams that are falling apart, like Philadelphia. They were Supporters' Shield winners. Now all of a sudden they can't win a game. Not the same team in a year. So, you know what I mean? I think you're going to see a lot of interesting, Vancouver's building into it. San Diego's still on a roll from last year. I think Houston's better than they were last year, but they got to find some consistency. So, you know what I mean? I think that it's so early to tell, and I think it'll be an interesting year because of the fact of the World Cup, because of that break, because now as a player, you got to have 2 preseasons. So you really can't, you know what I mean? So that second part of the season will be very telling to see who and what is in form at the end of the year.
It's a great point. Marcelo Balboa, Apple TV, joining us. What's the secret out in San Diego with Mikey Varis?
God. Dreyer, Valakari.
Those are good
answers. The way
answers.
Pellegrino's playing, Tvertskov in the midfield. You want to keep going with Bombino, who, last year tore it up, and this year the same thing. Dua, a 20-year-old center back with a veteran McVay. Where do you want me to keep going? When you got a player like Dreyer who can turn the game on its heel, and you've got a workforce, the threesome of Tvertskov, Valakari, and Godoy, they just work so well together. They're a team that can pick you apart. They're a team that can go directly over the top on a straight direct pass. You've got the intelligence of a Dreyer who, let's be honest, if it wasn't for Messi last year, he would have been your MVP, and he's having another MVP season. So, I think the only difference will be this year is they're playing Champions League. So it's a Saturday, Wednesday. So they're burning through their midnight oil pretty quick in the season.
Marcelo, what about the appeal of the way they play the game? I find them fun to watch.
Like I said, Glenn, when you have those kind of players, how do you not play good soccer? Let's be honest. They know exactly what they want. They're an extension of last year. They're just building off last year. If you look through the roster, tell me a different player from last year.
Yeah.
There's not besides Pellegrino, but he came in for Chucky. It's the exact same 11 that it was last year. You know what I mean? So the only difference is they got Invartsen back 100%. He's healthy. So, besides that, it's the exact same team except for goalkeeper. They have that threesome there that no one knows who's going to play with Cisniega, CJ. So, and then you got the 19-year-old kid Free. So, they're primed to have another great year.
Been very fun to watch, and big year for them.
Yeah.
Marcelo Balboa joining us. All right, let's switch it over now to the roster of the men's national team that's come down here for the upcoming game against Belgium.
Yes, sir.
Let's start looking at the goalkeeper position. Chris Brady, Roman Celentano, Matt Freese, Matt Turner. Thoughts?
I think you narrowed down really quick. Matt Freese and Matt Turner. Matt Turner with a year under his belt already. Freese has been in the goal for I think they said like the last 10 games. So he's obviously number one. So who gets the third spot? I think that's what everybody's fighting for right now. But I don't think you can take Freese out of the starting role at this minute.
And you got the upcoming game with Belgium. These are 2 really, really good games, Belgium and Portugal.
Yeah.
How much goes into these two games? Having been through this process, and I know it was a little different in 90 for you, but having gone through this process, the intensity of these two games, how important are they for making a roster if you're on the fringe?
This is it, Glenn. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. You're not going to get another window. This is it. You got to show what you got. You got to leave everything on the field and pray that there was enough for Pochettino to pick you on the either 26-man roster or 28, whatever it is. But you can't hold anything back. There's no tomorrow. There's not, well, I got one more game. You may not get to play that game. You know what I mean? So this is it. This is do or die. This is what you dream of. This is the last day, the last two games where you can make that World Cup team and be a part of history.
Marcelo, if you're not someone who gets picked to this roster for these two games with only two more friendlies to go, and one of those is right before the World Cup, Germany, so it'll be picked. What does that mean?
Listen, if first of all, if you're not picked for this group, unless you're hurt, Serginho Dest, we know that. But if you're not picked for these two games, I would think to myself, there's a 10% chance of me maybe making the roster or making the World Cup team, because you're not going to wait until the farewell game against Germany to make the roster. So unless you're hurt, this is where you're going to get your 26, 28-man roster. And this, like I said, you don't leave anything. If you leave something, if you walk off the field and say to yourself, crap, I could have given more, you're probably not going to make that World Cup team.
So I'm looking in midfield here, and there are some pretty big omissions, I think.
Yeah.
Alejandro Zendejas, who's done well with Club America. No Diego Luna, who became the real darling. I don't see him on this roster either, but you do have a guy that's played only supposedly 29 minutes for Mönchengladbach, who's been out of sight, out of mind, and Gio Reyna. Make some sense of this to me.
There's no need to make sense out of it, Glenn. I mean, they're two different players. Diego Luna's a good player, but he's not Gio Reyna. When Gio Reyna's on, he's probably in the top two or three players on this roster. So you have to give him a look. He's that talented that you have to give him a look. I think you know what Diego Luna can give you. And so I think now he's looking at guys like Christian Roldan, Morris. I think that those are the kind of players. Gio Reyna, too. If Gio Reyna doesn't play well, this could be the end for him, too. I think Sebastian Berhalter's getting one last look. So I think you know what Luna gives and what he brings to the table. Now you've got to give the other guys an opportunity to see if they can make it. But again, Gio Reyna or Luna, I know a lot of people will say Luna right now because he's playing more, he's healthy. But I've seen Gio Reyna, you've seen Gio Reyna, and you know when Gio Reyna's on, if you need somebody for 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get something going for you, I mean, there's no better guy if he's 100% fit to do that.
But he hasn't been on for a long time. He's only played 20 minutes.
He's that talented.
What point do we stop this dance?
He's that talented, though, that you have to bring him in. Even though he's not playing a lot, he's talented, man.
And back to your...
that's like if Christian wasn't playing for AC Milan, he was coming off the bench 20, 30 minutes. Would you leave Christian off the roster?
No, but he's already on the roster. So.
No, but I'm saying if he wasn't, if he was in the same position, you would pick him.
No, I get it. They're unique in that they're very skilled players and they can make plays. I get that. Yeah. I think it's interesting with Luna because Luna's a little bit more attack-oriented than Tessman, Roldan, Aiden Morris, who's done well at Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
We see Johnny Cardoso on here, who started for Atletico Madrid. So, man, it's an incredibly intense battle.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's when you look at these players, it's very difficult when you say, okay, who am I leaving out? I mean, you're not leaving out Weston McKennie. No chance. This is not possible. Nope. Malik Tillman, are you going to leave him out? Probably not. So when you look at this team, you're going to play with 2 6s, more than likely 2 6s, possibly 2 10s, right? So when you have a Tyler Adams, when you have a Tessman, you have a guy that can win the ball, you have a guy that can hunt the ball, and then you've got 2 guys in front of you and Pulisic and Weston McKennie who can attack the goal and have been very good at scoring goals. So you need that double tandem. The tandem for me that's going to be the most important would be those 2 because those are the 2, Glenn, they're going to sit in front of the 3. Okay, so that block of 5 has to be solid. They've got to be able to win balls in the air. They've got to win tackles. They've got to hunt the ball. They've got to chase the ball. So I look at this roster and I say, okay, you have that in Testament. You have that in Adams. You know what I mean? So again, for me, and then when you add in a Roldan, you know what I mean? You're like, oh my Lord, a Roldan is just, we know what he can do, how he's going to chase and hunt. So there's a lot of some familiar and similar profiles. So now you got to pick which profile you want. You know, who's in shape, who's in form, who's playing better soccer. And that's going to be the hard part for Pochettino.
Now let's go back to the defenders because a very interesting inclusion. Joe Scally was kind of out of favor. Serginho Dest gets injured, and he's right back in the national team picture, and the door may be open.
Yeah, listen, and don't forget, Tyler Adams isn't on this roster.
Yep.
But we know he's going to be there. So, listen, I think when you go down the roster, we've seen what Arston can do. We've seen what Freeman can do. They're good players. I think Freeman's a little bit more versatile, a little bit more athletic. He can play that third center back, or he can play the wing back. McKenzie, we know, is a solid center back, along with Tim Ream, even though he's not in great form right now in Major League Soccer. We know Chris Richards is a given as a starter. Anthony Robinson's going to be a starter. Miles Robinson's fighting to be that third center back. Joe Scully, okay, where do you fit him in? As a wing back? You know what I mean? You got him and Freeman, so you're going to have to pick between one of those. And then where do you mix in Austin Trusty now? Because Austin Trusty is a center back, so that's a third center back, you know what I mean? So, like I said, I mean, it's a solid group. Listen, for me, it's Chris Richards and who else? Because I don't think that the way Tim Ream's been playing lately, that you could say he's a lock right now to be a starter. You know what I mean? Then you can put in Miles Robinson, or you could put in, again, McKenzie. You can play those three. You can play Freeman. So I think you got to find the best pair. And right now you'd have to go with Richards and Ream because they've been playing a lot of games together.
Could be a really athletic trio, that's for sure. I don't think there's any.
It could be a very quick, fast back line, which you need in a World Cup. You know what I mean? So, and mistake free.
So who would have ever thought that the striker position be looking as good as it is right now? Fowler Balogun scoring goals for Monaco, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
I see Tim Weah on there. What do you think Weah's role will be? Attacking for Pochettino?
I think Weah's a wing back.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can play that wing back position. I think he can play that striker if you need that second striker where you're trying to get in behind that back line. I think you can switch and go to a 3-5-2. You can put him up top. I think you can go to a 4-3-3 and you can put him on the right side as a 7 or an 11. I think if you go to a 4-2-3-1, he could be the outside guy because he gets the wing. He can get up and down the wing. So I think you got a lot of versatility when you talk about lineups and formations when you have Tim Weah.
Haji Wright's scoring goals for Coventry, but I don't see him listed here on the roster. Not sure what that's about, or maybe he knows enough about him. I don't know.
I'm going to guess he's probably seen enough.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, if unless Pochettino called me, I'd be crapping my pants right now if I'm not on this roster. If I didn't get a call from U.S. Soccer or from one of the coaching staff telling me why I'm not on there, because he is having a good year. And he is a good, solid forward that can get in behind. Pepe's coming back off injury, off the broken arm. So we'll see, man. The important thing is you got to find the guy that's hot right now. So even Brandon Aronson, we know he's more of a wing back. You know what I mean?
So Marcelo, and we're talking to Marcelo Balboa, Apple TV, many World Cups for the United States, historic in his contributions to U.S. soccer. So if I look at this and I see an Austin Trusty, I see an Aiden Morris, I see a Johnny Cardoso. In the minds of some, they may be on the bubble. Do we expect that these guys are going to get a lot of minutes in these two games?
That's a great question because if this is my team, this is the last time really we're going to be together. I'm not experimenting. I'm putting my best team out there, and I'm trying to win these games to get a rhythm going into the World Cup. It should be 4 games leading into a World Cup. So, but that's why I'm not the national team coach. Maybe he is going to experiment and give a few of these guys an opportunity to play to see what they can do, especially an Austin Trusty who hasn't seen in a while. But I couldn't see myself experimenting too much, Glenn. I know Bora didn't experiment very much. I don't think Bruce Arena experiments very much. when he came down to the last real window before the World Cup. But I think you'll see them maybe in a second game or in a second half. But is that going to be enough to make a judgment call if they make the 26 or 28-man roster?
Yeah, very interesting. Marcelo, 45 seconds. Give me what you think is sort of the mood of the U.S. right now heading into the World Cup in June. We're getting closer and closer, maybe in Denver also, where you live, and when you travel around the country.
You know, I'd have to say I'm not sure people are super excited yet because they're still, a few months away. People are still watching Champions League. All the leagues are going on. Everybody's watching Arsenal to see if they can break that barrier, finally winning the EPL, you know what I mean? So I think over the next month, Glenn, and once we get into April, I think once we get into May, now all of a sudden, I take it back. I think after this window, once we see the window, once this window closes, we know who will be in the World Cup. We will know every country, what team they're playing. We will know everything. So again, into April, I think we're going to start feeling what this World Cup's about in this country.
It's coming soon. It's exciting. He's Marcelo Balboa. He's provided some of those great, exciting moments for U.S. soccer over his career. He's on Apple TV. That's where you catch him. Marcelo, thanks for coming on tonight. Great stuff.
Anytime, brother.
All right, that's Marcelo Balboa. Hey, by the way, speaking of World Cups, Thursday, March 19th, this Thursday, 5:30, Museum of Fine Arts. We're going to run the 2002 Japan-Korea film. We'll see you down there. Monday Night Football /2002 Eventbrite.com. That is the place to go. And another quick word here for Nico Nico's Greek and American Cafe. Nico Nico's, the best souvlaki, gyros, 3 locations, Woodlands, I-10 in the Beltway, the original in Montrose. Best chicken soup going. You put a lot of lemon in that. Great bakery, and the lamb shank is to die for. that's Nico Nico's Greek and American Cafe. All right, stay with us. One segment to go tonight here.
ESPN 97.5. You are listening to Soccer Matters
on ESPN 97.5 and 97.9 HD2.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Huntington Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, welcome back to Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5 as we roll on. It's still hard to believe we are hosting 7 World Cup games here, and they're getting closer and closer as we speak. Before we get into our final segment and our guest here tonight, just a reminder, Slip Sliders, it's down on 1802 bins. These are the best sliders going in Houston, Texas. If you go in there, and this is around the zoo, Herman Park, which dovetails very good with the recent video we put out about why Houston's going to be a great World Cup 2026 host city. You go down to the museums, the zoo, Herman Park. Well, right there is Slip Sliders. Every protein you would want. They're fresh. They're made to order. All you got to do is mention Soccer Matters. You can mention the sport of soccer, the World Cup, wear a jersey, Glenn Davis. Any of that will get you 15% off your bill. And apparently people were really rolling in this last weekend. So get down there at Slip Sliders, 1802 bins. Slip Sliders, 1802 bins, partners with Soccer Matters. All right. Erik Bergrud is with the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, but he's also the color commentator for the Kansas City Comets. That's the major arena soccer league, which is the indoor game. But we're going to get Erik's take on everything in Kansas City. He joins us now. Erik, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Glenn. You got me hungry there. I need some sliders.
Well, it might be a long run for you, but it might be worth it. They are definitely really, really good. I can tell you that. All right, so let's talk about, you guys got 4 group games. I mean, Argentina, Algeria, Ecuador, Curacao, Tunisia, Netherlands, Algeria, and Austria. Just tell us about, the matches you guys have, 4 in the group stage, 1 in the round of 32, and 1 quarterfinal.
Well, and 4 base camps on top of that. So I think everybody in Kansas City is excited for this opportunity. Landing Messi and the defending champs in the first game, that's a pretty big deal because the eyes of the world will be on that game and how that team shows. As you know, it's difficult to defend your World Cup championship. So that'll be a good test against a really good Algerian team. I think everybody's excited about the Netherlands coming here and what the Orange Army is going to do in Kansas City. And so we're excited about the games. We're really intrigued about the potential quarterfinal matchup, because if things go the way you would expect, obviously in the World Cup it doesn't work out that way, it could be an Argentina-Portugal quarterfinal. It would be Messi and Ronaldo, and you can imagine how many eyeballs around the world would be focused on Kansas City. The World Cup doesn't always go on script, but we'll see.
Yeah, no question about it. Erik Bergrud joining us here, Chamber of Commerce, Greater Kansas City. All right, so overall, the perspective of people in your area now, awareness of the World Cup, the job the committee's done creating that awareness, maybe touch on that for me.
Yeah, and I think this has been a long time coming. There were a few things that worked out really well for Kansas City in this process. One is you have the legacy of Lamar Hunt and the Hunt family. They had the commitment of the NFL team with the Chiefs. You had the buy-in from both Sporting Kansas City and MLS, as well as sort of later in the process, the Kansas City Current of NWSL. And so you had stadiums in place, you had ownership groups in place, you had the business community in place. And so everybody was focused on putting together an attractive bid package. And this was one of those surprised, not surprised moments when Kansas City was selected.
Well, here in Houston, we're the fourth largest city in America. It's ridiculous how many people not only are in Houston, but Houston proper. It just seems to go on and on forever. Large market, we didn't get it in 1994. We have 7 games now. Do you think there's something to be said for market size and pros and cons to that?
I think they're absolute pros. I think Kansas City benefited, and we're the smallest market of the American 11 markets in there. I think we benefited from geography, because if you look at the map, there's a lot on the West Coast, there's a lot on the East Coast, and then you have Dallas and Houston there, and there was nothing in the middle. And so I think for a large part, the bigger markets were able to make competitive bids, but I'm not sure that was the only thing. I think what Houston's had for it, years of success with the Dynamo, you have the stadiums in place, and both in terms of NFL style stadium as well as training facility with the Dynamo, and so I think you had a lot of the elements that made Houston attractive. And when I saw the games that you got, I think there are other markets that are envious of what Houston fans are going to be able to see.
Yeah, we got a lot of Europe, which is not what we normally get. We get a lot of South America. We get a ton of Central America. We get a lot of Mexico. So to get Germany, the Netherlands, Portugal, to your point, is a really, really big deal down here. Down here, my feeling is, honestly, that the biggest piece to us getting the World Cup was the cultural ownership of the game. Those that play it, coach it, mentor, referee, ticket buyers, because we've had years and years of huge support for the international content at Energy Stadium. That to me is the big piece to that, without question. And Kansas City's hosted major games in the past and have drawn extremely well also.
Yeah, no, and this goes way back. I remember attending a U.S. Costa Rica qualifier, World Cup qualifier at Arrowhead, but in more recent years, there have been a significant number of Gold Cup games here in Kansas City. Both the U.S. men and U.S. women have played friendlies as well as competitive matches here, and so there was a familiarity with U.S. soccer, not just with Arrowhead, but with some of the other facilities, both the domestic league soccer stadiums, but also their training facilities, which I think eventually gave Kansas City a leg up on base camp selection. And some cities are crowing about getting one base camp, and here we are in Kansas City with 4. That's pretty amazing for a market our size.
Pretty incredible. Plus, your Major League Soccer team for years was selling every single game out. That was a huge story. All right, so let's talk about this base camp. What are you guys doing up there to win all these teams? So you got Argentina, you got Algeria, you got England and the Netherlands all camping out there, base camp teams. And I think we'll get maybe one of the playoff teams that ultimately get through. But to me, this is almost like this is another way to just generate crazy interest, right?
Yeah. So before Kansas City got selected to host games, I was talking with somebody, longtime person in the soccer community in Kansas City, has national connections. And what he told me is everybody's excited about the games, but the real win is the base camp, because that's what's going to give you the focus and attention. And to get both it's a huge deal. I think Kansas City benefited even more so than the games, the base camps on geography, because if you look at a U.S. map, and as teams were trying to figure out where are we going to train versus where are we going to fly, Kansas City's right in the middle of the country. And so as it turned out, it laid out pretty well for Argentina, who has a game here, and then they had your way. Netherlands has a game here, they had your way. England was a little bit of the surprise because they went off the script and they picked a training facility that wasn't even on the FIFA bid book. And then where they're going to stay was like a total surprise. It wasn't one of the hotels that was submitted to FIFA. And so teams have figured out that Kansas City gives you a central location, easy to fly in multiple directions. If you're trying to get used to playing in humidity, it's not so oppressive, but there is enough humidity to acclimate you to some of those games that you might play in other markets. All those pieces helped.
Interesting. We're talking to Erik Bergrud, Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, also the color commentator, the Kansas City Comets in the Major Arena Soccer League. You look at these base camps, Argentina, England, Netherlands, and then I'm just sitting here as you're mentioning all this, and I'm going, God, just think of the press that's going to be rolling in now to Kansas City to cover these teams. And, if somebody scratches a fingernail, right?
Well, yeah. And I think we're in my chamber hat. That's an opportunity for Kansas City. We're thinking about brand and opportunity. You mentioned Houston is already big. You're a top 5 market, right? Kansas City, we're 32nd MSA. So
you don't want to get as big as Houston, though. Trust me. You don't want to get as big as.
No, but let me draw you a parallel we've been talking about in Kansas City. It's a little bit of apples and oranges, but hopefully this will help. If you look at Atlanta in 1996 when they hosted the Summer Olympics, and you look at Atlanta 30 years later, they basically doubled in population. And I'm not suggesting at all that's going to happen to Kansas City, but that's the opportunity that presents itself to you when the world sees you on TV, hears about you, the media come, they talk about your restaurants, your cultural organizations and institutions in town, the quality of life there. It's earned media. And I would say the earned is all the blood, sweat, and tears that took place through all the years to put together an attractive bid package. But it's a huge opportunity for us. And no, we've talked before about the size of Houston. I don't think anybody in Kansas City wants to give up their 20-minute commutes right away. But if somebody decides, hey, I want to move to Kansas City, or hey, I'll put my business in Kansas City, or hey, I just played in the World Cup and maybe it looks like a good opportunity to transfer to MLS. So maybe Kansas City's on my roster. Any of those is a win for our community.
So working for a Chamber of Commerce, and this is where you can educate me. Obviously you want to encourage business, create jobs, create opportunity, create great family living. But how much do you try to pull people to come in and move there and increase the population? And, because sometimes that can work both ways. You can't turn the faucet off just to your liking.
Oh, and I think that's fair. I can't claim that there's a full forced effort to grow the population here. What I can tell you is there are a lot of business organizations that are going to have activations during the summer about doing business with the countries that are coming to visit. I can tell you at our chamber, we've already had delegations from Argentina and Netherlands who've met with our members. There will be opportunities for CEOs to schmooze with Kansas City leaders, et cetera. That's all happening. Some of this, though, may be organic, is not just international visitors, but we're the only market in the Midwest, the way I would define the Midwest, to host games. And so we're going to have visitors from all over the U.S., coming to Kansas City to have that experience. Maybe some of them will like it so much they'll think about Kansas City as their permanent home.
Well, I can tell you I like it. We're talking to Erik Bergrud, Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, major indoor I almost said major indoor soccer league, Eric. That would have been a Freudian slip.
That's okay.
Major arena soccer league. Having played in 4 different soccer leagues myself, I sometimes get messed up a little bit. But I will tell you this. I have called MLS games in Arrowhead Stadium, then over at the minor league baseball field, and then into the gorgeous new soccer-specific facility, which is pretty cool because I really had a great seat to seeing this all kind of rise there. And I always loved coming to Kansas City for games. No question about it.
Oh, and as a fan, I loved going to all 3. So
yeah, they all were unique in their own way. Yeah, they were all unique in their own way. And very, very interesting. All right, so you got the training facility, central location. You got a great soccer culture. Big events have been held there in the past. You got accessibility to everything. I would say the next question for you is, England picked Swope Soccer Village, and you were saying England was kind of off the grid on all this. They must have had people in there doing some due diligence ahead of time. What do you think went on there with them? And tell us a little bit about Swope Soccer Village, too.
Yeah, so a little bit about Swope Soccer. Off and on, it's been the home of Sporting KC2. It is, let's call it a joint venture between the Kansas City Parks and Recreation Department and Sporting Kansas City. There have been NWSL games on the championship field. There's a bunch of youth fields there. So it's literally in a big park. And I think they found a way where they could have the run of the facility for a while. It's not in the middle of the business district, so there's a little bit of distance there. And it has a combination of training fields and then a championship field is what they call it, where you could play NCAA Division II games, you can play MLS Next Pro games. And so it offered them, I think, a little bit of the field dimensions that they wanted, and maybe a little bit more remote than some of the other facilities in town.
But is there a stadium in there where they're going to be able to keep their training sessions private and prevent people from coming in?
Yeah, and the championship field. Okay. Yeah, and I think what they'll probably do is a little bit more wraparound coverage of the field. But yes, there is a game facility in the middle of all that.
Yeah, because the smart guys are thinking right now, well, you know what? I'm going to try to I'll go to Kansas City and see if I can get a little bit deeper into it. Yeah.
So an interesting historical tidbit is that park, the Wizards, and it might have even been the Wiz practice there back in the 90s. But even crazier than that is this is a good Texas segue, when the Dallas Texans football team moved to Kansas City, they first practiced in that park too. So there's a little bit of history of professional practices in that park, but where they are now, it's a more soccer specific area.
Erik, before I let you go, what about the fan zone? What type of plans there? I know there's usually some really, really good fan zone type things and celebration stuff in Kansas City when teams win titles.
Yeah, and I work literally right across the street from it, so I can look out my window when I'm in the office and see it every day. So it's located on the grounds of our National World War I Museum and Memorial. They have a strong track record of doing big events. They co-hosted the NFL draft with Union Station, where I work, a few years back. They had 2 Chapel Roan concerts there, and so they're able to deal with massive crowds. This is going to be capped at 25,000 on FanFest days, and it's either 16 or 18, so they're not going to do one every night of the tournament, but mainly on the weekends. It's going to be rocking and rolling, so we're kind of excited to see what that looks like. I imagine my office is going to get a lot of spillover of people who are in the neighborhood, so we're excited to see what kind of foot traffic we get during the tournament.
Yeah, I just remember some of those NFL celebrations, and holy smoke, they were off the chains. Erik, listen, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Well, I was going to say, which job do you like better, Chamber of Commerce or calling indoor games? But I'm going to retract that and redact that because that's a very unfair question to ask you. So I want to thank you for coming on here tonight. Really, really great insight. We'll do it again, okay?
Really appreciate it, Glenn. Excited for Houston. I know it's going to be a great summer.
Yeah, excited for Kansas City from down here as well. That's Erik Bergrud, and we appreciate him coming on tonight. Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. Great insight from him. Color commentator also for the Kansas City Comets in the indoor game. We thank him for coming on tonight. That'll do it. Brian McDonald, big thank you to our producer extraordinaire. Also, to our presenting sponsor, John Daspit, the Daspit Law Firm, daspitlaw.com, 713-CALL now. Get the podcast at ESPN975.com, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. And until tomorrow night, Destination 2026, Houston's Countdown to the Cup, right here on ESPN 97.5. I'm Glenn Davis. Good night.